Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Taxpayers Association of El Dorado County's District 2 County Supervisor Candidate Forum. My name is Andy Nevis. I'm the president of the association. District 2 spans the southern part of El Dorado County, including some of El Dorado Hills, south of Highway 50, Cameron Park, Somerset, Fairplay, a lot of other wonderful areas. The incumbent supervisor, Shiva Frenson, is termed out of office, so she is not running this year. But today we're joined by Ken Pimlott and George Turnboo, who advanced to the general election from a field of several candidates in the primary. Today's discussion will be split into two parts. First, we'll hear opening statements from the candidates. Then we'll have questions developed by a group of Taxpayer Association representatives, as well as questions from the audience. And then finally, we'll have closing statements at the end. Those in the audience can submit questions in a few ways. If you're here in the room, you have cards that you can write questions on and deliver to me during the course of the meeting. If you're on Zoom, you can type them into the Zoom chat window. And if you're on Facebook Live, you can put them into the comment section of the Facebook Live discussion. And finally, you can send them via email to taxpayersedc@gmail.com. Once again, that's taxpayersedc@gmail.com, all lowercase. Just a reminder that this is not a debate, so questions must be able to be answered by either candidate. I would also encourage the candidates to avoid personal attacks to the extent possible, while recognizing that there's some important differences between the two of you. And with that, we'll start with the same way we start every Taxpayers Association event. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everyone could rise and join me, remove your covers. And salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So I'm just going to check on the Facebook stream because I got a question as to whether that was going or not. It should be going, but I'm just going to double check before we get going too far here. And there it is. Okay, so we'll proceed. So each candidate will now have 3 minutes for an opening statement. And I'm going to go ahead and get my stopwatch ready. I'll give you signals at 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, and then count you down from there. And for the audience on Facebook and on Zoom especially, because that's what I have open right now, we're going to try something different with the audio today. The candidates have a microphone at their table. If that's not working for some reason, please let me know via the chat feature, and we can have the candidates actually hold that microphone if we have to. But anyway, we're going to try it this way to begin, and then let me know if it works or doesn't work. So I'm going to start with Mr. Pimlott with your opening statement. So go ahead.
Good morning, and thank you, Andy, and thanks to the Taxpayer Association for hosting the forum. We know we're in the home stretch of the election, and it's great to have these opportunities for us to be able to come out and get to know people better and answer questions and talk about the issues. So as Andy said, I'm Ken Pimlott, and this is the District 2 Supervisor campaign. Compared to many, obviously, a relative newcomer to El Dorado County. We've been here, my wife and I have lived here for 17 years. We raised our two sons, our two kids. They're both adults now, but we raised them here. We love and enjoy living in El Dorado County. We don't want to live anywhere else. We've been in Cameron Park for 17 years, and we're in the process of building a home in South County in Mount Occam, and we're excited to be doing that. I spent my entire career in public safety. Started out as a seasonal firefighter with CAL FIRE and worked my way up through the ranks. I'm a registered professional forester in California, and I've had an opportunity to work in a number of areas across California. I retired at the end of 2018 after serving 8 years as the chief of CAL FIRE. I was appointed by Governor Schwarzenegger and then worked for, two full terms for Governor Brown before I retired at the end of that administration. During that time, engaged in managing a $2.6 billion budget, over 8,000 men and women in CAL FIRE working across the state. and certainly all of the challenges from dealing with the most significant budget reductions and recession at the time. And then, of course, dealing with the challenges we face with the wildland fire and fuels and forest management challenges in California, which obviously continue as we go forward. I decided that I'm not done with public service. I've gained experience over time working with people from across the aisle, from at all levels of government and all stakeholders. And I want to continue to use that experience to help us here in El Dorado County, where I live. And I want to be part of the community engaging in that. For me, three basic areas are priorities. Obviously, budget accountability, ensuring we have responsible budget that lives within our means, and now no more than ever as we work through the challenges of COVID and the economic impacts that's placed on us, trying to get our public health and our businesses that are impacted, trying to get those back open as we work through protecting our public. Obviously preparing for wildfire, all the issues that come with fire here in the county, insurance cancellations, PG&E public safety power shutoffs, and just the threat from wildland fire. I want to be able to bring my experience to bring more grant opportunities, working with other stakeholders, and continue to work with the county to help improve fire safety. And then lastly, obviously, reasonable, responsible growth that helps us continue to prosper, but at the same time maintains the rural lifestyle, the agricultural communities, the reasons we live here. And there's certainly reasons my wife and I continue to live here in El Dorado County. Thank you.
Great. So George, go ahead and please remember to speak up and speak into that little microphone as much as you can.
Okay, my name is George Turnboo, and my family has lived here since the early 1840s. We arrived in this county. And my great-great-great-grandfather brought 8 wagon trains across the Oregon Trail. We settled here actually in Frenchtown, actually before this even became a state. During that period of time and stuff, we had one of the largest vineyards that was in El Dorado County at that time in Frenchtown. And that particular vineyard, there was a blight that went through it and basically killed it off and stuff. But there's still a lot of the old vines that are still in place down there in that area. You know, I care about this community. We have a lot of things that we need to work on, especially with this overspending. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on, and especially our roads. Our roads are deteriorating really bad. The problem is right now, we used to set aside at the budget every year, there used to be about $2.5 million that was set aside to fixing our roads. Now there's $0 going into that. We need to fix that problem. We have a lot of things that's going on. We also, I was a member of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee at that time when that Diamond Line plant, there was a problem there. And I spoke on it. There was a couple of kids that got burnt, and it was brought to my attention. And what I did is I brought it in front of the board, and we did a 35-page report along with the environmental engineer, Don Neslick, and there was another environmental engineer, Cheryl Blychester. I've always been an advocate for things to get done. Anyway, now the mess is getting cleaned up down there. There's a lot of things that I've done. I've also, the veterans and stuff, Proposition H was passed, and the veterans weren't getting it. It was a hotel tax. I spoke in front of the board. After I spoke in front of the board, the veterans were starting to get their money. So there's a lot of things. No Sandstino, I spoke on that and in front of the board on that. They wanted to build that housing development down in No Sandstino. And basically what happened is we don't have the infrastructure. We didn't have the roads and the proper infrastructure, the water to even build that project. Well, they didn't go forward with it, which is kind of a good thing. And that would have been built right around our cemetery. At that time, they were even talking about, we were even doing away with our cemetery like they're doing at the Dixon Ranch right now. And the thing is that didn't happen. So I just care about this county. I love the people that are here. I've lived here a long time. I started my own business when I was 19 years old. And I know what it takes to run a small business. And being a pastor of the church I am right now in the town of El Dorado, the oldest active church in El Dorado County. Also, I was a volunteer firefighter for Diamond Springs, El Dorado Fire Department back in the 70s and the 80s. So I care about this community. I care about the people here. I love the rural lifestyle, and I want to remain and make sure that we remain rural in our county. Thank you.
All right. Thanks to both candidates. I'm going to go ahead and ask that the candidates just hold that little mic. I've gotten some conflicting reports. It seems like maybe because our friendly landscapers have decided to show up this morning. We've got quite a bit of background noise, so we can just take that mic out of there and just kind of hold it like I'm holding it here. So hopefully that works okay for everybody.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Is that better?
That should be better. I see Bill George laughing on my screen, so
Oh,
I'm
okay.
assuming that
Okay,
means
Bill.
that he can hear us okay. He's giving a thumbs up. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and move into our questions. The first question will be to you, George. The county CAO has often said that El Dorado County cannot be small and rural with low taxes and a high level of service. Do you agree with that assessment? If so, which of those three would you prioritize as most important and which is the least important? And I should have mentioned these are a minute and a half to respond to, just like the League of Women Voters. So
I
I'll go ahead
understand
and
that what's-
restart. Hold on, I got to
Okay.
restart my timer. And all right, whenever you're ready, George.
Okay. Well, the thing is our taxes and stuff is a real critical in our county, especially that, you know, that can support these departments. The biggest thing that we have right now is we're not business friendly in this county. I want to make sure our business parks get filled by bringing new ideas and new technology to our county so we have a good, adequate tax base. I would like to bring logging back to our county. I think a mill would be a great thing, especially with high paying jobs. And then I also want to bring a cogen plant that we can clean our forests and stuff and our dead debris and our easements and stuff. That could reduce a lot of our fire. We got to generate tax base. We really do. And we got to make sure that we get our tax base, especially when we're not getting the right percentage, especially from the state, because all it is about they feed us grant. And Sacramento officer area government should not be dictating what goes on our county. I think we should be self-controlled and they shouldn't be allowed to tell us what we can do and what we can't do.
All right, so we'll turn it over to Mr. Pimlott. There you go. Just, yeah, hold it as, I mean, you don't have to breathe on it if you don't want to, but somewhere where it can hear you. Okay. All right, go ahead. Whenever you're ready.
All right, great, thank you. So I agree with the CAO when he talks about we can't have all three of those things, small and rural, low taxes, or high levels of service, although those are all things that we all want here in the county. One thing that's very clear to me is we don't want high taxes. Nobody in this county has ever indicated they want to be taxed anymore, and I'm certainly there. So we have opportunities then as to how do we bridge that and continue to provide the services, because we all want good services here in the county. And we want to remain small and rural. So the opportunities we have is to really continue to implement the original tenets of our general plan. And that is providing the growth in those areas that have been designated for that, so that we have an opportunity to bring in more revenue, more tax base based on existing tax structures in those areas, increase our sales tax by supporting our businesses. So we bring in that revenue. Then it's allocating and prioritizing in our budget what programs, particularly public safety, and other programs that we want to ensure we can provide that high level of service, including our roads and transportation. Thank you.
All right, actually, Ken, you can keep it right there because we're going to go back to you for our next question. Distance learning and telecommuting requires high quality internet. District 2 has a significant number of households without access to broadband internet. What strategy would you pursue to increase that access?
Absolutely. So we've certainly discovered more than ever during the pandemic how critical our ability to access broadband, to have connectivity throughout the county. District 2 in particular is plagued in our more rural areas with, in some cases, little or no connectivity. The county's been working and looking at various contractors for proposals. It's a very expensive proposition. I believe the latest proposal on the table is potentially as high as $2 billion to build the county out, and an additional $2 billion in interest or bonds. At the end of the day, we need to continue to look at public-private partnerships to find opportunities to build out broadband over time and make those investments wherever we can, particularly using CARES Act funding and other targets of opportunity where funding is available to help build that infrastructure.
All right, over to George.
Yeah, I think it's very, very critical and stuff, especially when there's a lot of things that are going out when people can't get on the internet and their cell phone service doesn't work. And especially when it comes to safety, especially when we have some of these horrific fires and stuff like that. We need to have an escape plan. And when they can't access that escape plan, it's very critical for the residents that live in the rural areas. So I think we need to look into it. I think it might be a real good thing for our county, but the expense of it, I think I think the county shouldn't be able to afford the bill on it because that's way too high for us. And that's why we need to subcontract it. It would be probably better for us for the future.
All right, so we'll keep it with George for the next question. What are your thoughts on affordable housing in El Dorado County? Our general plan identifies affordable housing locations. If you believe we need more, where should they be located? And should there be changes to the general plan to allow for more affordable housing to happen?
So what do you call affordable housing? Especially when homes are anywhere $300,000 to $400,000 to $500,000, especially built in the El Dorado Hills area. I mean, it's not affordable, especially when people are making $20 to $30 an hour. You know, that's not adequate to be able to sustain a house. There's a lot of people that work for the county right now with low paying jobs here that are in the county have to live somewhere else because they can't afford to live here. And it's wrong. You know, they had that housing development that was in Deer Park, which was a low income facility, and they built that out. And that was kind of a good thing. So that's something we could look at. But we make sure that we put it in the right places, because we don't want to make sure that we make sure that we have the right infrastructure to be able to do that. Thank you.
All right. Oh yes, go ahead and Ken, go ahead and answer the question. Sorry.
It's all right. Absolutely, we need affordable housing in the county. We want people to live and work here. And as has been stated many times before, so many people are either, they're living outside the county, they're commuting in to work, they're living in actually large groups to try to afford the houses that we have. But yes, the general plan spells out these opportunities, particularly in the western part of the county, the more dense areas. But housing is too expensive. We need to find opportunities, multifamily housing, some inclusionary housing, try to find opportunities where we can bring construction in where we can provide those communities. But at the end of the day, without the ability to have our people live and work here, we're never going to be able to build and grow our small businesses. And at the same time, we may have to be looking at the general plan going forward and make some very conscious, open discussions with our communities, because mandates are coming from the state that we can't control here at the county, that we're going to have to find some ways to work through as a community.
All right. Ken, the next question will be for you. And I just have a couple of questions on my list left. So a reminder for those in the audience, please go ahead and start submitting your questions. Any number of ways. If you're on Zoom, you can put them in the chat. If you're in the room, you have cards, and you can email them to taxpayersedc@gmail.com. Again, taxpayers, plural, @gmail.com. So I'll go ahead and go back to Ken for this next question. So you both have long and distinguished careers, but like all of us, I'm sure there's some things you wish you could go back and do better. What is one significant mistake that you've made, and what did you learn from that experience?
I think going back and trying, it's a perfect opportunity is where we're at with our forest management and dealing with our fire challenges in California, and going back and the opportunity to provide more engagement in public-private partnership early on, because it's been anticipated many times, trying to bring infrastructure back into our state. We're not going to be able to treat all the vegetation and reduce the fuel loading just by using federal or government funds. We need to be able to rebuild our industries to have the infrastructure. And so to go back and retool and find better opportunities to provide stimulus to do that. And certainly these are things going forward. We have some great opportunities to engage in. And again, working in the county and working on the Board of Supervisors and engaging with partners throughout the county to get that done, including our federal and state partners.
All right,
Can
George.
you answer that question again? Repeat it, please.
Sure. So the question is, you both have long and distinguished careers, but like all of us, I'm sure there's some things you could wish you could go back and do differently. What is one significant mistake that you've made, and what did you learn from that experience?
You know, I don't think I ever made a mistake because I look at it this way. You know, I mean, I love my business. You know, I started at 19 years old. Who would ever think at 19 years old people today would even start a business up? Not very many, is there? You know, and I think it was really good by doing that, because I met a lot of people, good people and stuff, and especially with the community. being the pastor of the church, I've been there approximately about 5 years, and I absolutely love it. I really do. Speaking the word of God is very critical, and I think it's a good thing. And I think we need to get back more to God, I think. The thing is the business I've gone through, there's been different ups and downs and stuff like that. I've even had holes in the ground and stuff like that when they tore the tanks out, but I still managed to run my business over those years because we had the state wanted us to fill the holes in, the county said no. So it was back and forth. It was set 10 years, but I still managed to survive, and I'm still there to this day. So I have no regrets at all.
All right. So George, we'll stay with you for this. And this is the last question that I wrote. And then we have a few questions that have come in from the audience. So District 2 has many different types of communities. You think from the new El Dorado Hills subdivisions to parts of Cameron Park to Southern Shingle Springs to Fairplay and the rural South County area. How would you effectively represent all of these distinct communities?
Well, the thing is you got to understand, living where I live in Somerset, and actually there's a lot of people that live in El Dorado Hills, but they love the rural lifestyle too. And I would like to make sure that we have different communities and stuff and people that we can get together and we have meetings in different places, like Somerset, like Pleasant Valley, like Shingle Springs, like Cameron Park, like El Dorado Hills. So I wanted to hear what everybody has to say and all their complaints, and they could bring to me, because we need to be more diverse. And as a supervisor, I'm going to make sure that I am diverse and support all these people because they all care. I all care about all these people because they love the rural lifestyle that we live in. Even though that you think El Dorado Hills is kind of an urban area, but it's not. They moved here for a purpose because they love that lifestyle.
All right. Yep. So Ken, go ahead.
So absolutely, District 2 is very diverse. And for me, I've been volunteering on the board at the Ockham Fairplay Fire Safe Council. And I think this, having lived in Cameron Park for the last 17 years, and now getting to know South County by building our home and engaging and working with the community out there, had a great opportunity to really start to get to understand and know the cross-section of our district and of the community. And absolutely, it's about being present. It's about being accessible. It's about attending meetings. It's about understanding what the individual concerns and the diversity across the district, listening to that. But at the same time, we all have the same ideas in mind. As we said, we want a rural lifestyle, but we also want to be able to prosper, to ensure that we have the roads, we have the infrastructure to support the lifestyle that we want. How do we balance that? And so it's working with the more densely populated areas of the district who really are who are paying where the sales tax is generated, who are paying for a lot of what comes into the rest of the county and district. So how do we balance that diversity, ensure it's equitable to all of our residents across the board?
All right, Ken, and we're going to keep it right with you. And we have a question from Chris Payne that I think is actually pretty related to what I just asked. So how would you engage with your counterparts in Amador County to ensure that any development that occurs across the county line does not negatively impact Southern El Dorado County?
Yeah, it's very important, particularly at the south end of the district out in the Mount Ockham area, very close to River Pines and communities along the burgeoning Amador wine country. And in the future, I see a lot of opportunity there because we see growth potentially occurring that could impact this part of South County along with Amador County. So I think it's engaging directly with their board members, with their staff at the Amador County, and long-term plans. And it's not just growth, it's the impact of fire. How do we work together with our fire safe councils across the county boundary to ensure fire safe communities are being developed? Because fires know no boundaries and they certainly don't know county lines. And so opportunities to leverage programs, leverage grants so we can help protect South County and portions of Amador County at the same time.
George?
Well, I think personally myself and stuff like that, we need to protect South County, especially what's going on, especially if these housing developments end up getting close to, the county line. We need to protect it, definitely, especially the rural atmosphere and stuff that we all enjoy. the thing is, especially like Ken was talking about the fires and stuff, the horrific fires that could go in there, but we also make sure that we maintain our easements and stuff because there's going to be a lot of traffic flow, especially coming from Amador County up into our wineries that we have in El Dorado County. So we got to make sure that those easements are clean because 90% of the fires start in our easements. So we make sure that we maintain the roads adequately and stuff like that to supply it. But you got to understand too, that might benefit a little bit, especially our county, the tax base that it could bring, the taxes that could bring to our county, especially when people are coming up here and shopping at our wineries and stuff, and especially Apple Hill and all the other things that goes on.
All right, thank you. George, we're going to keep it with you. I'm just sorting through all the questions that just got handed to me, and why don't we go with this one? It's pretty short. Again, these are not signed questions, but they're from someone in the audience, so I don't know if somebody wants to claim it. But this question is county administration overstaffed? And that's the question. So George, we'll start with you.
Well, I personally think so. I really do, because these high salaries that we have in the county right now is absolutely absurd. When people are making more than the president of the United States, we need to tighten our budget up a little bit. I would like to see a lot of the county head departments right now be done with, and we could bring brings people in and stuff like that, the contract and stuff for 2 years and straighten our departments out, because these wages are really high for what these people are making. The thing is, we don't have enough worker bees in our county and stuff. Look what's happened to DOT when we have 20 people now that are working on the 795 miles of roads, because there's not enough money to sustain their kind of lifestyle. They can't afford to work for DOT, so they work elsewhere. So we need to cut the top and start bringing money to the worker bees of our county, because they're the ones that do the work.
All right, Ken?
I think like any government organization and operation, we are responsible and constantly need to be paying attention to staffing levels and efficiencies. And that's something that we need to continue to look at, and I would certainly do that. I think though what's very clear in El Dorado County is the pay structure for the folks that are rolling up their sleeves and doing the work every day, like George talked about. They are well underpaid compared to their counterparts in Placer and Sacramento County, well below the mean. And I think that's been indicated. It's indicated in the county strategic plan, and has been indicated by many across the board. El Dorado County will never achieve that because we don't have the tax base, but we need to continue to work with the county, work with our government employees, and find out opportunities long-term, because we want to retain these employees. We want them to live here. We want them to work here. The more vacancies we have, the more challenging it is to get our plans through the planning and building department, the more challenging it is to get work done through our transportation department and the other functions that the county provides. So continue to look at the efficiencies in our operation, but also continue to ensure our employees have the support and what they need to work and live here in the county.
All right, again, we'll keep it with you. This question is from Debbie Manning over Zoom. She's asking, please list the top 3 action items that you believe would help make the county more business friendly, and how would you implement those? So Ken, we'll start with you.
Yeah,
as I admit Laurel Brentbaum into the meeting, just coincidentally at that moment, but go ahead.
Thank you. And thank you for the question, Debbie. So yeah, ultimately, one, we need to obviously have a competitive market for our business. And that's trying to do everything we can to provide incentives. Can we continue to work to reduce fees? Can we provide a fee structure that is competitive so that folks aren't priced out of the market when they're trying to open their business here? Can we provide infrastructure, continue to support roads, provide opportunities to where it's feasible to do business here, and we aren't working against ourselves, and people don't want to do business here because it's challenging to navigate our crowded roads, et cetera. So finding investments there. And then lastly, obviously providing new opportunities for business, looking for grants. For example, what we've done through the CARES Act and the El Dorado Community Foundation to provide one-time grants to help our businesses continue to thrive, or at least survive during this pandemic, so that they'll come out the other side and continue to prosper. So finding opportunities for one-time grants and other support to keep them alive.
George?
You know, being a small business owner like myself, I know what it takes to run a small business, but regulations are the biggest thing that goes on in our county. This is one of the reasons why small businesses can't even survive. You know, you don't understand all the regulations that I have to go just run an auto repair shop, and all the other businesses in this community, what they have to go through. The fees are high. When you pour your life and soul into your business, let's say you got, you know, your life savings and stuff that you pour in your business, 80, 90,000 to even start a business. Come on, that's absolutely absurd is what it is. It takes 2 years to even know if you're even going to make it in business. So I would like to see that a lot of these fees be reduced to a minimal amount so people can get started, because what will happen with that, if you think about it, with these businesses getting started, they'll bring more tax base to our communities and our county, and they can thrive. But when you pour your heart and soul in it and you spend that kind of money to even start a business, there's no guarantee that you're even going to survive. So I would make sure that we lower the fees and stop a lot of the regulations that's going on in our county.
All right, so we'll keep it with you, George. I'm going to go to a question that Steve Ferry emailed in, even though he's sitting right there, but he sent it via email, which actually is good. Steve asks, Steve asks, are you willing to lead the effort to use private industry to run the library, planning department, or other departments? So we're going to start with George on that one.
I think it should be privatized. I think it costs the county way too much money. It really does. So I think we need to look into that. It would be better for our community, better for our county, and it would save us a lot of money.
Well, I think we have opportunities to look at a lot of things, public-private partnerships here in the county. I haven't had a chance to specifically look into how something like those specific elements would work. But across the board, I think those are the kinds of things we need to continue to evaluate going forward. What are the most efficient ways that we can provide services as a county, the highest level of services, the most efficient way, and again, public-private partnerships to help us leverage opportunities and actions that we have. And so I'd certainly be open to having discussions like that going forward.
All right. We'll keep it with you, Ken. Let's go to another one from the cards. They get another real short one. I like that. How do you propose fixing our roads? Go for it.
Well, short of getting cold patch out there myself, which I'm happy to do because I know places where we could do that. No, at the end of the day, we really need to sit down and work on, are we looking at efficiencies within our own transportation department? And they're doing an amazing job working out there, but the transportation director, has indicated that they're able to maintain about half of the right-of-ways, culverts, et cetera, that they were able to do just a few years ago. The workload is increasing. Their ability to accomplish that is decreasing. And obviously, the more that is left unmaintained, the more opportunities for failures due to erosion, et cetera. So look for efficiencies, continue to push and Sacramento to get El Dorado County's fair share of the AB1 monies. We are not getting all of that, and we need to advocate to bring those monies in. Use FEMA reimbursement funds during disasters that we get for winter road issues. Apply that money to fix our roads here in the county. Take targets of opportunity anywhere where we can use grants and funding sources and target those to make the improvements that we need.
All right, George.
A lot of our taxes and stuff like that during our budget period, there was money that was set aside for roads, usually about $2.5 million. Now there's $0 going to our roads because we're overspending. We're spending on consultants, which we don't need to be doing that. It's a waste is what it is. And there's not enough money being generated to fix our roads. We have money set aside for future projects like the courthouse, the driveway going to that. There's $3.5 million that's in that account. We could take that money out of that account and fix our roads. We need to look at different ways that we could do this because the problem is it's this county overspends. We need to tighten our budget and we make sure that we have the money to fix our roads because our roads are deteriorating, but also we don't have the manpower. We need to hire more people. We need to up the pay scale that we can afford to hire more people and people will stay here in the county. When you only got 20 people doing 795 miles of road, that's in cleaning the ditches, the easements, and repairing the roads. That is not enough manpower to sustain our roads in our county.
All right. Let's see here. All right, so let's do this one. For George, this came up at the supervisor meeting last week, so we'll see if you were paying attention or not. But should the Human Rights Commission be a part of county government or a private nonprofit? Go ahead, George.
Human rights?
The Human Rights Commission, should that be a part of county government or a private nonprofit organization?
I don't think it should be a part of county government at all. Simple as that.
All right, Ken?
So yeah, the County Human Rights Commission was started in 2018 with a way for the county to try to find some opportunities to open up dialogue between the county and our community to get forward thinking and get ahead of some of the challenges that are being faced in other parts of the state and country. At the board meeting this week, obviously, it's very challenging that the commission has had some difficult times determining what its role is. And I think there's great opportunity going forward. Again, possibly a public-private partnership. Clearly, the commission didn't have the representation it needed. And it's really the forum for sharing information. It's not an adjudication body, and it needs to be where people can feel comfortable sharing ideas and helping bring our community closer together between law enforcement, diverse views in the community, so that we, again, continue to enhance and build trust. And we don't have to have issues in our county like we've seen in other parts where businesses feel uncomfortable keeping their doors open and all of that. Thank you.
All right. So we got so we'll stay with Ken for this question. Again, it's another question from the audience here, and I'm going to tweak it just a little bit to maybe make it a little bit more insightful. But the question is, have you ever accepted a political donation from another elected official? And if so, from whom? And what I'm going to add on to that is, how do you intend to be independent from those that have given to your campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I have received contributions from at least one other elected official. Nobody that works directly in local government here in the county. I will tell you very straight up, and you've seen my working across the aisle on projects as the chief of CAL FIRE and in other elements at all levels of government. I have received funding, a small donation from Senators Feinstein and a lot of endorsements from boards of supervisor members, and both here in the county and from outside, but not direct funding. Thank you.
Yeah, I've received a small donation from Rico Aller and stuff. A retired senator is what it is, but nothing from outside or within this county at all. You know, the thing is when we're moving forward with a lot of this stuff that's happened in our county and stuff, we don't need to be having an outside influence at all. And I think that we need to make sure that that doesn't happen. And I was talking about Sacramento Office of Area Government and stuff like that, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on. They try to control our county and stuff. And that's why we need to be self-controlled and not let them people there dictate what goes on in our county. Thank you.
All right, George, we'll keep it with you. This question came from Chris Payne. He asks, while District 2 does not include most of Diamond Springs, it is a key part of the transportation system for many in your district. Mm-hmm. What is your view of the improvements in Diamond Springs?
The improvements? Okay. Well, I don't know if I can really talk about it being on the grand jury at that particular time, but anyway, I'll start on this a little bit. I think the bypass is absolutely ridiculous, especially the way it's put in, because the thing is, you're still going to have a traffic congestion backing all the way up back past Jim's Bridgeport Building Supply, Jim's place. And I think it's absolutely absurd. What are you going to do? Go to the stoplight, turn right, and go another stoplight and turn left? It's wrong. If they were going to do it right, they should have brought it in the backside down on Pleasant Valley Road and brought it in the backside of it and intersected it into that bypass. They did it absolutely wrong. So I don't know who was the one that designed it, but I'm just totally against it.
All right, Ken?
Yeah, that portion, Diamond Springs in that corner is absolutely very much a challenge for traffic. I'm not certain that what's going on now is going to solve the problem. I think I've got to spend some time diving into the history of how we got there and where we want to go forward with future decisions. But certainly that continues, particularly first thing in the morning at commute time coming down, coming down the hill, Pleasant Valley Road. The connection there with Highway 49, very challenging. And I think even when the construction is done, we may or may not see the relief that we're looking for. And so I think we need to continue to put that on our radar for how we can make improvements and fix some of the issues there.
All right. So we just have time for a couple more questions. So let's do this one. Define dedicated funds. And then it says, would you hold to keeping dedicated funds for the purpose for which they were originated?
So dedicated funds are just that, funds that are dedicated for a specific purpose. And oftentimes dedicated funds have mandates that come with them, that's how they are to be spent. That's the authority that comes with that money. And we don't have the option to spend that. I think going forward, where we have discretion, looking at funds that don't have specific attachments to it, that's part of what we need to be continuing to talk about. Are our priorities changing over time? But early on, when you make a decision, when we as a community make a decision about projects and where we want to dedicate funds, we need to have very open, transparent discussions about making any of those changes, because people made those decisions for a reason. And we want to make sure we put those discussions back out on the table if we're going to make any changes to funds that we have the authority and the ability to do so.
All right. George?
I feel that those funds should be dedicated to whatever that funds were entitled to go to. There was $785,000 that was supposed to go to local fire departments in our area. Well, that money didn't even go there at all. And it comes from the interior. And I'll tell you something, we need to stop that. We need to stop taking that money and just put it in the general fund and spending it elsewhere. That money is designated to go to these rural fire departments. That money should go there. And it hasn't been for several years. So I want to make sure that when we have these dedicated funds, that they go to the projects and dedicated to the departments that it needs to go to. Thank you.
All right. So this will be the last question, and I apologize. We've gotten a lot of questions for these candidates. So that's good. That means voters are paying attention. And one of the things I'll do in the closing is ask you guys to give your contact info. So if folks have questions they weren't able to get answered, they can get in touch with you. But I want to finish this up on this question that I think is important to a lot of District 2, and that is, how do you feel about large subdivisions east of Ponderosa? So I'm interpreting that as, how do you feel about large subdivisions outside of where there currently are large subdivisions? So,
well, I'm against it, and no Sandstino was one of them. That we don't have the infrastructure to be able to sustain these large subdivisions. I know they have a subdivision that's going to go into Diamond Springs. I think that's just absolutely wrong, because we don't have the infrastructure to be able to put into it. It's going to destroy the history of that little town of Diamond Springs, especially when they're talking about putting a roundabout in that area. It's wrong, is what it is. They should be maintained and submitted to follow the 2004 general plan that we put in effect. And that was basically on the west end of the corridor of the county. That's where most of the building was supposed to go. So I'm totally against building these large subdivisions and stuff like in Diamond Springs and all the other things like in Shingle Springs too. It's just wrong, because we do not have the infrastructure for it.
Ken?
Yep, I too believe that the 2004 general plan was our guiding document and continues to be. We have not fully implemented the growth that was indicated and supported by our county and the individuals who put that together. So large growth developments east of that Ponderosa corridor are not something that I can support. Sandstino, again, was a perfect example. The community spoke loud and clear. I think knowing all of that, though, we of course have got to continue to come back to the table to find opportunities where we can, within the tenets of the general plan, to provide growth opportunities in our county, because we don't want to stagnate. We want to make sure that we continue to have the revenue that supports our infrastructure so that we can maintain the rural lifestyle as it's been designated throughout our general plan. Thank you.
All right. So thanks to you both. We'll wrap it up with a 1-minute closing statement from each candidate. Again, as part of your closing statement, I would encourage you to give contact information for your campaign so that if voters have questions they weren't able to get answered, or they want to meet up for coffee or something like that, they can get in touch with you and talk more. So we'll start with Ken. Go ahead and sorry for the background noise, but we'll just we'll work through it and just hold the mic as close as you can.
You got it. Well, again, thank you to the Taxpayers Association for hosting us today. I may be a relative newcomer to El Dorado County, living here for 17 years, but I'm not a newcomer to public service. I've given over 30 years working for the people throughout California, and I want to continue to do that here in El Dorado County. What's important to me, though, is El Dorado County is not an island. We have to be engaging at the state and federal level and with our partners so that we can get work done, because we have to be able to leverage opportunity. We have to fight for the money that we're owed in California. We have to work on opposing legislation that negatively impacts our business, and we have to continue to engage in getting more funding for fire safety, fire prevention, our fire safe councils, roads, all those things that we have to engage our legislators outside of El Dorado County to get done. And I'm committed to use my relationships to do that. And thank you.
Real quick, Ken, how can people get in touch with you?
Oh yeah, sorry. Website is electkenpimlott.com. We're also on Facebook at Elect Ken Pimlott, or it's electkenpimlott at gmail.com for email.
All right, right on. George?
I just care about this county. This is one of the reasons why I've ran several times. I think this is the fourth time. And you notice on my signs, it's time. I just care about the residents in this county. I've got a lot of good ideas. I think outside the box. I could bring more ideas and new technology to El Dorado County so our county can grow and survive. There's a lot of things that I can bring to the table here, especially when I know a lot about the different areas and stuff, being a native, with Georgetown or Placerville or Somerset or all the other different areas in this county. Because the thing is, not just South County, I'm going to be representing all the county, because my vote counts for those other districts too. I just care about this people. I've been here a long, long time. You know what I mean? And I want to make sure that we protect our agriculture is a big thing. Tourism is a big thing for our county. I will make sure I maintain our agricultural and make sure that we maintain the buffer zones around our ag so that agricultural doesn't disappear. Also to make sure that we clean our easements and stuff. Safety is a big thing in our county and stuff right now, especially the overgrowth. So I just want to know that, tell you that I just care about this county. And I love the people that are here, and I will make sure that I represent you the right way.
All right. Thanks, George. And real quick, how do people get in touch with you?
Phone number is 530-363-4061. And also my website is turnboo.com, or also Team Turnboo. You can reach me there too.
All right. Well, thank you so much to our candidates. Let's since we do have an audience here, let's have a little bit of applause for our candidates. Thank you all. Thank you all online for bearing with all the background noise. Good news is I suspect we're making progress on our on at least our vegetation management. I can tell you they're doing that here at Denny's. So I don't know if that's anything to do with the rest of the county, but they're certainly doing it here. Well, for those of you who are watching on Zoom who are Taxpayer Association members, I encourage you to stay on the line, especially our board members. We do have a little bit of internal business to do. So I'm going to rearrange the room just a little bit, and we'll be back shortly, but please stay on the line, especially if you are a board of director members. For everybody else, we will see you next week when we have the candidates for Supervisor District 1. That'll be John Heidel and Ron Briggs. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the Facebook live stream now. So thank you all for watching.